I guess I'll never know what I missed on that first day of health class.
Don't have sex, because you will get pregnant and die. Don't have sex in the missionary position. Don't have sex standing up. Just don't do it, promise? Okay, everybody take some rubbers. At your age, you're gonna be having a lot of urges. You're gonna wanna take off your clothes and touch each other. But if you do touch each other, you will get chlamydia and die.
Sexuality education is currently required within the state of Montana. However, the laws regarding sex education are ambiguous, and the only specifics regarding the curriculum of these programs are as follows. Sex education must be taught by the end of 8th grade. It must include STD and HIV/AIDS education. The information taught must be medically accurate and age appropriate. Abstinence must be taught as the only completely effective protection against unplanned pregnancy, sexually transmitted diseases, and HIV/AIDS. Teaching about contraceptives such as condoms, the pill, or the patch is not required. The curriculum topics and what grade levels to teach are ultimately decided by local school boards.
The content of the human sexuality component of a health enhancement program is a decision for the local school. The content should reflect the values of the community. Public health supports a program that is age-appropriate, abstinence-based, and includes strategies and skills, practice and refusal skills, negotiation skills, communication skills, and resistance to peer pressure. Further, the program Public Health Supports is designed to support youth who have not had sexual intercourse to continue to postpone the initiation of sexual intercourse, help youth who have had sexual intercourse to reestablish abstinence, and present information on disease prevention methods for those unable or unwilling to refrain from sexual intercourse. The content should explain the health reasons for refraining from sexual intercourse as well as the health consequences for engaging in sexual intercourse.
Hello everyone, welcome to the health portion of our PE class. Today we are going to be discussing sex education. First off, I want everyone to get comfortable with the terminology because I know it can be a little taboo. So we're gonna practice the terminology we will be using. On the count of 3, I want everyone to say the word penis. 1, 2, 3. Penis! Okay, great. Now, on the count of 3, I want everyone to say the word vagina. 1, 2, 3.
Vagina!
Great. Okay, this is important because you guys need to be comfortable with the language. These are just anatomical terms, and although it seems uncomfortable, we all have these parts. That's just the way it is. Now, the key point that you should take away from this class is that abstinence is the only completely effective protection against pregnancy, sexually transmitted diseases, and HIV/AIDS.
But what about condoms and the pill? Don't they work too?
Yes, they do work up to a point. However, abstinence is the only 100% effective way to avoid STDs as well as pregnancy. Now, class, if you do choose to participate in sexual activity, there is a risk of STDs. Chlamydia is one of the most common STDs contracted in Montana and across the nation. Some STDs can even be symptomless, so you won't even know that you have them. Gonorrhea is another STD that is very common in our state and across the nation for students your age. HIV stands for Human Immunodeficiency Virus. The HIV virus is what causes AIDS, which stands for Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome. AIDS does have some treatments which can help with the symptoms, but this disease is chronic and it is actually incurable. It is commonly passed through sexual intercourse or contact with body fluids. Now, okay, that's all for today's class. Be sure to bring any questions you guys have next week so that we can discuss more topics as we further go into the health portion of our class.
While this mock sex education class may have seemed a little silly, the reality is that many of us who grew up in Montana had this exact experience with our sex education class. This video depicts a class which follows all of the sex education guidelines under Montana law. Even though all of the Montana state laws were followed during this class, did this information provide enough of a background to teach our youth how to be safe? We don't think so.
There are many ethical dilemmas surrounding the topic of sex education which arise from poor guidance by the state laws. Some of them include: are all school board members qualified to make the decision on sex education curriculum? Should school counselors and parents be involved? Consent is a huge topic on college campuses, but shouldn't the topic of consent be included in sex education? Smaller schools may lack prepared educators and resources for providing sex education at all. States can receive federal funding for having abstinence-only until marriage programs. Students are ultimately going to make their own decisions, so shouldn't we provide them with resources to make smart and informed choices? Medically accurate is commonly used wording within our state laws, but that terminology is very broad.
This list shows the ranks of sexually transmitted diseases per capita within the state of Montana. As you can see from these statistics, small rural communities in Montana are particularly susceptible to sexually transmitted diseases. This could be due to a lack of resources in the form of sex education. In 2011, Montana alone had 937 pregnancies in teens ages 15 to 19.
Why is sex education such an important legal and ethical concern? 4% of Montanans under the age of 13 have already participated in sexual intercourse. While 4% may not seem like much, our students are becoming involved in sexual activity at an earlier age, and it is important we provide all students with resources so that they can make safe decisions whether they are participating in sexual activity or not. Across the board, sex statistics are slightly lower in Montana than the national average, but the highest percentage difference is only 3%. While Montana might be lacking in resources for sexual education, this is a problem nationwide.
As you can see, teen pregnancy is a risk regardless of the teaching methods used in sexual education. However, states on the far right of this graph are teaching abstinence only, and the rates of teen pregnancy in those states are higher, on average, than states that use comprehensive teaching program, which includes not just abstinence, but methods of contraception as well. States can receive federal funding for abstinence-only education, but Montana is not one of them. For this reason, Montana is listed as a comprehensive teaching state in this data. However, some schools are still teaching abstinence only in Montana because talking about various forms of contraception is optional according to the law.
The Montana state laws regarding sexual education are currently out of date, ambiguous, and leave too many decisions in the hands of local school boards who may not have enough of a background in sex education to decide what our students should be taught. So, what solutions can we use to make sexual education more well-rounded, uniform, safe, and informative? Here are some of the things we came up with to solve these legal and ethical issues. 1. Counselors should be involved in sex education so that students have a resource beyond their parents. 2. Make the legal criteria of what should be taught in sex education more distinct and make this curriculum uniform across all institutions. 3. Programs where doctors and community health educators from local hospitals come into schools to teach sex education and provide resources for the students. 4. Have a mandated sex education teacher training so those who are going to teach this class have a better grasp of the concepts students should be informed of. 5. Make the topic of consent a part of the high school sexual education curriculum, as providing this information at a younger age can only be helpful. 6. Teach abstinence, but also provide students with information about contraceptives and protection so they can make their own decisions but know how to be safe.